Coming up in this episode of Target USA. On January 1st, 2018, New Year's Day, President Donald J. Trump wrote a tweet. It said the U.S. has foolishly given Pakistan more than $33 billion in aid over the last 15 years, and they have given us nothing but lies and deceit, thinking of our leaders as fools. They give safe haven to the terrorists we hunt in Afghanistan with little help. No more.
Use of such language hurts. It is disappointing, and our National Security Committee met where civil and military leadership got together, and they exactly had to say the same thing.
Pakistan's ambassador to the U.S., Aizaz Chaudhry, spoke with Target USA from Islamabad, and basically what he said was they were confused by the president's tweets because they'd heard something completely the opposite from Secretary of State Rex Tillerson and Secretary of Defense Jim Mattis.
Secretary Tillerson visited Pakistan, Secretary Mattis had visited Pakistan, and they had talked about what is called common ground.
Amid the president's blistering tweets and the allegations of lying and deceit and the outrage in Pakistan over that message, there's a backstory. There's the Osama bin Laden problem. There's concern about Pakistan not doing all it could to help the U.S. in its war in Afghanistan. And then there's decades of distrust. We get into all of it on this edition of Target USA,
the National Security Podcast.
From WTOP in Washington, D.C., this is Target USA. Russia
could render huge harm to this country.
North Korea's secret missile.
Capable of reaching the whole of the United States.
Dangerous terrorist.
D.C. is repeatedly mentioned as someplace they would like to seek an attack.
Cyber criminals.
Decryption successful.
America has a target on its back. And on this program, we investigate the threats, the people behind them, the agencies fighting them, and the impact on you. This is Target USA,
the National Security Podcast.
I'm J.J. Green. There were protests in Pakistan after President Trump made his lies and deceit tweet about Pakistan taking $33 billion in money and delivering very little and thinking U.S. leaders to be fools. He had already threatened to withhold aid money from Pakistan, but the New Year's Day tweets were more than Pakistani leaders could handle. And his press secretary, Sarah Sanders, was asked about it.
Look, the president outlined a new strategy for Afghanistan and South Asia earlier this past year in August. And at that time, he laid out and said that Pakistan is not fulfilling its obligations. The president is simply following through on a commitment that he made because this is a president who does what he says he's going to do. We know that Pakistan can do more to fight terrorism, and we want them to step up and do that.
We wanted you to hear exactly what Pakistan thought about the president's tweets and what Pakistan's planning to do about it. So we located Pakistan's ambassador to the U.S., Aizaz Chaudhry, who was in Islamabad at the time, and we talked to him at length about all of this uproar. But as in most spats, both sides share some blame, and we spoke to him about Pakistan's share too. Ambassador, thank you for taking time to talk with us, and I want to get right to the heart of the story. Please respond directly to President Trump's accusation that Pakistan has taken more than $30 billion from the U.S. in the last 15 years and gotten nothing but lies, deceit, thinking of our leaders as fools from Pakistan. How do you respond to that?
Pakistan and the United States of America worked together, especially since 9/11, and we decimated Al-Qaeda. We accomplished many milestones. We still have a lot of work to be done. And in the process, Pakistan has suffered a lot. We sacrificed a lot. We spent, we suffered economic losses of 120 billion. Tens of thousands of people were lost. And luckily, we were able to succeed and reverse the tide of terrorism, and now those terrorists are on the run. The point is that all these sacrifices cannot be measured really in monetary terms. We think that out of those $33 billion being talked about, more than half were actually reimbursements for the expenses that Pakistan had made in pursuit of joint objectives in counterterrorism. Therefore, I think if we were to do math, there were so many other factors. For example, Pakistan has been contributing by way of ground and air lines of communication to the United States since 2002. And we believe that this is no favor. We did it because we were partners, and this is a proof that we wanted to work together. So I personally feel that the bigger picture was more important, is more important, and any blames or use of such language hurts. It is disappointing, and our National Security Committee met where civil and military leadership got together, and they exactly had to say the same thing. The other factor that sort of is relevant is that we were actually having an engagement at a high level with the United States. Secretary Tillerson visited Pakistan, Secretary Mattis had visited Pakistan, and they had talked about what is called common ground, that we need to find common ground. And we believe there is common ground to be found. And suddenly we find that the language being used is not in consonance with, and that's why we think that this language is incomprehensible to us. We believe that there was a genuine effort being made by both sides to find common ground in Afghanistan, in our region, where indeed we can work together.
Do you feel blindsided, considering what you've said, that clearly the math here is fuzzy? It doesn't include all of the sacrifices of people, all of the other non-tangible elements that Pakistan says that it has done to help the U.S. And the West. When you hear the comments that you said hurt and are disappointing, what is the message back to Mr. Trump in that regard? What do you say to him?
Well, we would say that you rightly mentioned intangible, but there were tangible, areas of cooperation. Like I mentioned, we have facilitated U.S. access to Afghanistan in every respect, and we believe it was a partnership. We were allies. And we also believe that if we remain partners and we continue working together, we can achieve the very objectives that U.S. wants to achieve. If the two countries drift apart, I wonder if those objectives can be achieved as well as we would have done it together.
In addition to the comments about lying and deceiving and thinking of U.S. leaders as fools, Mr. Trump also said that Pakistan has given safe haven to terrorists that the U.S. has been hunting in Afghanistan with only a little help, no more. Is that accurate?
Safe havens, we have worked very hard to eliminate all safe havens that were there in North Waziristan. And we have successfully routed them, eliminated all those hideouts. Most of the Taliban and the Haqqani leadership are now in Afghanistan. But it is a porous border. There is a back and forth movement all the time. And therefore, we have also said that we need to have border management where Pakistan is already working, but we need cooperation from the Afghan and the U.S. side so that this border is not used by terrorists to cross either way. The fact now is that sanctuaries and safe havens have moved into Afghanistan, in eastern Afghanistan, from where regular attacks are being mounted against Pakistan. So that's the reality, and we need to actually sit together and work how we can ameliorate this situation.
Not to belabor the point or to beat the dead horse, You've already spoken very eloquently about what Pakistan has done to help the U.S. What examples can you point to prove that Pakistan, as the president claims, has not deceived the U.S.?
Has not deceived the U.S.?
Yes, sir. What examples can you show or say to refute the president's point that the Pakistan has lied and deceived the U.S.?
Tell me, if you don't hear Al-Qaeda, an organization that was responsible for 9/11, how did that occur? How did that happen? It happened because we cooperated with each other and not because we deceived each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is a very glaring example that we worked and we achieved results.
Mm-hmm. But there is still a very sore point between the U.S. and Pakistan, the Osama bin Laden problem. He was found in Pakistan.
We are happy that he got killed, but we are not happy the way this happened.
There is still some simmering anger about what happened when the U.S. found Osama bin Laden in Pakistan, and we'll get into that when we return to Target USA.
The National Security Podcast.
Hi, it's Jamie, Progressive's #1, #2 employee. Leave a message at the... Hey, Jamie, it's me, Jamie. This is your daily pep talk. I know it's been rough going ever since people found out about your a cappella group, Mad Harmony, but you will bounce back. I mean, you're the guy always helping people find coverage options with the Name Your Price tool. It should be you giving me the pep talk. Now get out there, hit that high note, and take Mad Harmony all the way to nationals this year. Sorry, it's pitchy.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
I'm J.J. Green, and you're listening to Target USA,
the National Security Podcast.
On this program, we've been talking to Pakistan's ambassador to the U.S., Aizaz Chaudhry, about President Trump's tweets accusing them of being liars and deceiving the U.S. while taking billions of dollars in aid money. And he's responded to that, saying it's hurtful and it's disappointing. But we've also asked him as well about Pakistan's role in allegedly deceiving the U.S., and we continue that conversation. So how do you explain then the Osama bin Laden problem? He was found in Abbottabad after years of hunting him.
Osama bin Laden, we are, of course, equally sad that he was hiding in that part. But we are happy that he got killed, but we are not happy the way this happened because after all, Pakistan and United States were allies, and we should have been taken into confidence. Allies don't embarrass each other. Mm-hmm. By not taking us into confidence, we were faced national embarrassment. So we believe that the same objective could have been achieved in a much better fashion if Pakistan had been taken on board on this.
Mm-hmm. Have the attempts to fix the U.S.-Pakistan relationship after the embarrassment and the problem with the Osama bin Laden situation, after all of the efforts that were undertaken to fix the relationship, does this latest development from the Trump White House set the relationship back?
Well, we hope not, because we would still like to retain the hope that that the two countries and the leaderships stay engaged. We have job to be done. Afghanistan is not yet stable. In fact, situation has deteriorated. 43% of territory has become ungoverned spaces, which is a magnet for attracting militants of the world, and therefore there's work to be done. We want to stabilize Afghanistan because we have suffered from the instability in Afghanistan, and we believe the United States wants to stabilize Afghanistan because it has had a long war in Afghanistan. So there is work to be done by both countries. Even the overall threat of terrorism still needs to be countered. We have made quite a few achievements and successes, but we believe that there is still a lot of work to be done because this is a profound challenge to us.
Mm-hmm. Do you believe that Mr. Trump, based on the things that he said, and there have been other instances in all fairness, where he said things that can't be proven or some would say are not true. Do you believe that he is can be a trusted partner for Pakistan?
Well, as a diplomat, I would always, I would never make any comment on the personality of the president because he is the elected leader of your country. And in government-to-government relations, we deal with whoever is elected by the people of the host country. So we will deal with him as an elected representative of your country.
Have you sufficient proof that the U.S. is the kind of partner that Pakistan wants to engage in very sensitive discussions and intelligence sharing, et cetera, moving forward, based on some of the recent developments, including the statements that you referred to that were hurtful and disappointing?
Yeah. We believe that the United States is a very, very important country. It has an elaborate system of governance. We believe engagement will be helpful. The two sides must stay engaged at all levels, at leadership level, at working level, because we have cooperated and worked together not only in counterterrorism, but in scores of areas, from education and health to IT and commerce to defense cooperation to counterterrorism. So countless areas in which we have worked together. So we think that we must continue to stay engaged.
Ambassador, the U.S. and Pakistan, and we should be very honest and clear about this, the U.S. and Pakistan has had its ups and downs over the years. And some would say, and sometimes it seems as though Pakistan and the U.S. don't trust each other. That's very clear. It's been that way for decades. People in both countries are cynical sometimes about this and are very, much engaged and smart enough to see through political rhetoric on both sides. So how do you propose to make this a more trusting relationship? Is there a way to do that?
Well, I think that's the only way forward. We need to rebuild the trust. We need to understand each other better. Maybe there is a mismatch of expectations. That is a possibility. It can happen. There is also a possibility that we don't need, have full congruence of interests. There will be areas of convergence and there will be areas of divergence. But if we focus only on areas of divergence, then I'm afraid the relationship will not grow and common objectives will not be achieved. But if we do exactly the opposite, if we focus on areas of convergence, what unites us, then I believe we both will be able to gain.
Uh-huh. Is Pakistan's top leadership dedicated to that? And now, and I guess a better question is the top leadership position in Pakistan stable right now after the court ruling on President Sharif?
Well, as you saw that one prime minister was, removed or made to leave by the court orders. And within 3 days, there was another elected prime minister was elected by the parliament. So it was a constitutional change which happened seamlessly and smoothly. Now we are preparing to hold general elections, which were already due in the middle of the current month. So everything is on course. So democratic process in Pakistan is continuing.
So you don't believe, was that a setback for Pakistan, do you believe, the situation with President Sharif? Was that a setback or was that just something that had to happen?
Well, naturally, when you have a major step like this one, this does cause ripples. And above all, it was the economic situation which suffered because of the political uncertainty. Mm-hmm.
Ambassador, part of the reason why I asked that question about the stability piece is because one of the big questions in the U.S. For many years now, and it's been across administrations, is about Pakistan's security and the security of its nuclear weapons. How safe are they from rogue elements taking control of them and possibly launching them? We see, as you've continued to systematically eradicate terrorists from the picture, that the risk is less, but there is still a terrorism problem. And when you have a change of leadership, there possibly could be vacuums sometimes. So how safe are the nuclear weapons at this point?
Nuclear weapons in Pakistan are as safe as that of any other country. In fact, better. We have an immaculate record of nuclear safety. For the last 40 years, we have generated power using nuclear fissile material, and touch wood, not a single incident. Nuclear security, again, there have been thousands, maybe 2,700, over 2,700 incidents of theft of fissile material, not one relating to Pakistan, because we take extra care, multiple layers of security. In export controls, we have made special effort to align our national lists of controls, export controls, with those of the multilateral regime. In fact, we have unilaterally declared our adherence to the guidelines of Nuclear Suppliers Group. Our command and control is centralized. We have a national command authority chaired by the Prime Minister, and we have a center of excellence. And when we used to have this regular dialogue under the previous administration, these people, your experts and senior officials, have come and seen the amount of effort we have made in this regard. The overall rationale for our nuclear capability is to deter aggression from our east, which we have faced in the past. It is a defensive program. We are not into any arms race with India, but we don't want India to aggress again. So it's a deterrence. It's a deterrence that we would like to maintain to avoid war and maintain strategic stability in South Asia. I don't think there is any reason for worrying that terrorists could lay their hands on fissile material. I don't think it is possible. Now we are winning the war against terrorism, but even when the time was such that we were under attack by these terrorists, nobody ever came any close to any nuclear installation. So I don't think that this fear is well placed.
One more question, two more quick questions, and then I'll ask for comments from you before we close, because I know it's late there. The relationship with India. The U.S. has tried to balance its relationship with both Pakistan and India. How is the relationship with India right now? We know that there have been some long-standing concerns. You know, the line of control is one of those things. There are other things as well. How is the relationship with India now?
Well, we don't have a dialogue with India because India doesn't want to have that dialogue. They have some concerns on terrorist elements, and we say to them that we also have those concerns, and it is a common enemy. But every time Pakistan and India try to sit together, these elements stage some incident and India suspends the dialogue, and we tell them that why do you suspend the dialogue? We need to continue to work together to isolate these very elements. But somehow we have not been able to convince India that that is the direction to go to. So the dialogue remains suspended. Meanwhile, India is continuing its policies, particularly its policies in Kashmir, occupied Kashmir, where it has unleashed brutalities against the innocent Kashmiris, and that has become a matter of concern because people of Pakistan and people of Kashmir have strong centuries-old links. So therefore, the situation, I am afraid, is not good. And then all these firings by Indian side on the line of control also add to the tensions. We thought that the United States, being a friend of both countries, could play a role, and we do hope that the United States would finally find a way to contribute to strategic stability in South Asia.
Okay, sir. Last question from me. What is your message, and considering all of the things that we've talked about, the president's comments, which, as you said, were hurtful and disappointing, and the suspicions that have abounded for many years and the challenges that are out there, but also the opportunities that you point to. What is your message to the American people and especially the president?
I think the message is that Pakistan and the United States go back in time. We have worked together, and whenever we worked together, we benefited. Both benefited, and whenever we didn't, we didn't. We believe there is still work to be done together. We believe that if the two allies don't really work together, there will be losses in the pursuit of our joint objectives. We believe that the task of stabilizing Afghanistan is too important to be left alone. We believe both Pakistan and the United States need to play their part. We believe terrorism, the menace of terrorism itself is not yet quenched fully. And there also we need to work together. And then, as indicated, it's a multifaceted relationship where people-to-people contacts continue regardless of how the governments feel about each other. So there is every reason for Pakistan and the United States to find a way to work together.
And finally, is there anything you want to add, Ambassador, that I haven't asked you about that you think is important?
Well, thank you so much. The people of Pakistan value relationship with the United States. We believe that this relationship is also valuable for the United States itself. So we do hope that the process of engagement between the two countries at all levels will resume, and we will regain the lost trust.
Ambassador, thank you. I know it's late again there. It's well after midnight there in Islamabad. Thank you for taking time to do this.
Thank you for your time.
We look forward to
appreciate that.
We look forward to talking to you when you arrive back in Washington.
Indeed, it will be my honor and pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and good night, sir.